Lord, again, just once again, I just ask, be with me as we continue to read your word, and, yeah, give me the words to say, and just continue to do things like you've been doing, oh man. I love you. Yes, yes, yes. Hey, Simp here. Well, the last time that we read the Bible together, I felt, I was kind of like, just nervous to do it, and, you know, this is a big deal, and whatever. And, not so much anymore. Ever since I did it, it feels like God has just blessed me, and now I just have, like, confidence, and I'm going all over the internet and just, like, trying to help people and do good things, and I can feel Him, so I think maybe we should keep doing it, right? Let's do it. While Jesus was living in the Galilean hills, we're in Matthew chapter 3 now. We're starting at chapter 3. That's where we left off last time. While Jesus was living in the Galilean hills, John, called the Baptizer, was preaching in the desert country of Judea. His message was simple, austere, like his desert surroundings. Change your life. God's kingdom is here. John and his message were authorized by Isaiah's prophecy. Thunder in the desert. Prepare for God's arrival. Make the road smooth and straight. John dressed in a camel hair habit tied at the waist by a leather strap. He lived on a diet of locusts and wild field honey. People poured out of... See, man. God asks people to do some strange things sometimes. Asking John to live off locusts and wild field honey. But there's probably some crazy reason. There always is. It's always like there's something in the locusts or in the... when you mix them together and then you find out that you just never know, man. God's smart. People poured out of Jerusalem, Judea, and the Jordanian countryside to hear him and see him in action. There, at the Jordan River, those who came to confess their sins were baptized into a changed life. When John realized that a lot of Pharisees and Sadducees were showing up, now the Pharisees and the Sadducees, I don't know much about the Sadducees, but the Pharisees were like these people who had set themselves up as the religious leaders of that time. And they were entrusted with God's law. I mean, they were part of the people that were entrusted with God's law back when he gave it to the tribes of Israel. But they had, like, made their own law at this point. And they were just like, they were people with no love. You know people just like Pharisees in your life every single day. Like, you know, people who just, you know, don't care about anything but rules and regulations and always, you know, doing, you know, things the right way, and people who, you know, rip other people off but, you know, do it with a smile and do it out of conniving methods, and they just were not people of love. They were people of laws and rules and, you know, all that stuff. And Jesus called them out more than anybody else in the world. Yeah. So, when John realized that a lot of Pharisees and Sadducees were showing up for baptismal experiences because it was becoming the popular thing to do, he exploded. Brood of snakes! What do you think you're doing slithering down here to the river? Do you think a little water on your snakeskins is going to make any difference? It's your life that must change, not your skin. And don't think you can pull rank by claiming Abraham is father. Being a descendant of Abraham is neither here nor there. Descendants of Abraham are a dime a dozen. What counts is your life. Is it green and blossoming? Because if it's dead wood, it goes in the fire. So, why would he say they would claim Abraham? Well, because God made a promise to Abraham where he told him that he was going to give him a nation of chosen people, and these people were going to be, you know, his chosen people, and he would, you know, many, many descendants. Well, these people could trace their lineage back to Abraham, and they were just going, see, we're God's chosen people, that's that. But that's not how it works. Like, you know, they were his chosen, but they were still required to obey his law. And he said, I will know you are mine because you obey my words. And the joke that was on them is that when Jesus died, what God did was he took the blessing he gave to Abraham and made everyone who believes it. What he did was he made Jesus the seed of Abraham, right? So the Savior comes born from Abraham, And then when he dies, and everyone who believes in Jesus now becomes a spiritual son of God or whatever, the seed came from Abraham. So they become spiritual sons of Abraham, spiritual daughters of Abraham. So this multitude that God promised Abraham, it's everyone who believes in Christ. That's who's the multitude that he is talking about. But they were just saying, oh, we are the blood descendants of Abraham, therefore we can basically get away with murder, is what they would claim. So anyway, I'm baptizing you here in the river, turning your old life in for a kingdom life. The real action comes next. The main character in this drama, compared to him, I'm a mere stagehand. The main character in this drama, compared to him, I'm a mere stagehand, will ignite the kingdom life within you, a fire within you, the Holy Spirit within you, changing you from inside out. He's going to clean house, make a clean sweep of your lives. He'll place everything true in its proper place before God. Everything false he'll put out with the trash to be burned. Jesus then appeared, arriving at the Jordan River from Galilee. He wanted John to baptize him. John objected. I'm the one who needs to be baptized, not you. But Jesus insisted. Do it. God's work, putting things right, all those centuries is coming together, right now, in this baptism. So John did it. The moment Jesus came out of the baptismal waters, the skies opened up, and he saw God's Spirit. It looked like a dove, descending and landing on him, and along with the Spirit, a voice. This is my Son, chosen and marked by love, delight of my life. Next, Jesus was taken into the wild by the Spirit for a test. The devil was ready to give it. Jesus prepared for the test by fasting 40 days and 40 nights. That left him, of course, in a state of extreme hunger, which the devil took advantage of in the first test. Since you are God's Son, speak the word that will turn these stones into loaves of bread. But Jesus answered him by quoting Deuteronomy. It takes more than bread to stay alive. It takes a steady stream of words from God's mouth. For the second test, the devil took him to the holy city. He sat him on top of the temple and said, Since you're God's Son, jump. The devil goaded him by quoting Psalm 91. He has placed you in the care of angels. They will catch you so that you won't so much as stub your toe on a stone. Jesus countered with another citation from Deuteronomy that declares, Do not test the Lord your God. For the third test, the devil took him on the peak of a huge mountain. He gestured expansively, pointing out all the earth's kingdoms, how glorious they were, and he said, They're yours, lock, stock, and barrel. Just go down on your knees and worship me, and they're yours. Jesus' refusal was curt. Beat it, Satan. He backed his rebuke with a third quotation from Deuteronomy. Worship the Lord your God and only him. Serve him with absolute single-heartedness. The test was over. The devil left. And in his place, angels. Angels came and took care of Jesus' needs. And that's how it always is when you're getting tested as a Christian. He's setting up for you he's trying to let you know how this goes. And so Jesus does it all first to give us the example. Well, Jesus read and studied and became, well equipped, and then when he was finally studied and ready and his relationship with God was strong enough, he was sent out into his mission. But first, he had to be tested. He had to be tested to make sure that he was, worthy of doing what he was doing, which I think is actually what's been going on in my life. I was undergoing the same test, and that's why I've suddenly emerged all confident. It's because, oh my gosh, I was crying and just begging, and because I decided I wasn't going to do anything to help my own situation. I decided that I was going to let God do it, and I was going to just, when things looked bad, we would turn to him and just pray instead of trying to formulate a plan. And me and my wife faithfully did that, and it was hard. Very hard. There were times when it looked like we weren't going to have anything. And that's why I've been kind of a nervous wreck, but I finally started to show him more by stepping out in faith and just knees, hands shaking. I was so scared, but I'm going to tell people about God. I'm going to make this video where I read the Bible, because he tells me he'll bless me if I do these things, so I'm just going to believe it. Well, guess what? He did. He did, and it works. If you do what this book says and share the gospel, but first you must understand the gospel. You can't share what you don't understand. If you do, he blesses you, man. And you will begin to hear him and sense him. And then you will be able to tell people what he's thinking and feeling about things, because you'll ask him honestly, and he'll honestly tell you. I have two-way conversations with God, not one-way. And they're all day long, every day. And he talks back. But anyway, When Jesus got word that John had been arrested, he returned to Galilee. He moved from his hometown, Nazareth, to the lakeside village Capernaum, nestled at the base of the Zebulun and Naphtali hills. I think my pronunciations of these big words are kind of funny. This move completed Isaiah's sermon. Land of Zebulun, land of Naphtali, road to the sea over Jordan. Galilee, crossroads from the nation, people sitting out their lives in the dark saw a huge light. Sitting in that dark, dark country of death, they watched the sun come up. This Isaiah prophesied sermon came to life in Galilee the moment Jesus started preaching. He picked up where John left off. Change your life. God's kingdom is here. Walking along the beach of Lake Galilee, Jesus saw two brothers, Simon, later called Peter, and Andrew. They were fishing, throwing their nets into the lake. It was their regular work. Jesus said to them, "Come with me. I'll make a new kind of fisherman out of you. I'll show you how to catch men and women instead of perch and bass. They didn't ask questions, but simply dropped their nets and followed. See, and when I see things like that, you think, why did they just follow Jesus? I think it's because his face was just radiant, and he said it with an incredible amount of authority, and his eyes just beamed, and he just seemed like he knew something that they didn't know. And I think that, people just responded that way to Jesus. They'd just be like, okay. You know what I mean? I think that was just what happened. So, a short distance down the beach, they came upon another pair of brothers, James and John, Zebedee's sons. These two were sitting in a boat with their father, Zebedee, mending their fish nets. Jesus made the same offer to them, and they were just as quick to follow, abandoning boat and father. See, you must abandon everything. You must abandon boat and father. They're setting up even more. These people abandoned boat and father to follow Jesus. That's why they became apostles, right? See, it's so rich. It's so rich with so much teachings that you won't see if your heart's not looking. From there he went all over Galilee. He used synagogues for meeting places and taught people the truth of God. God's kingdom was his theme. That beginning right now, they were under God's government, a good government. He also healed people of their diseases and of the bad effects of their lives. Word got around the entire Roman province of Syria. People brought anybody with an ailment, whether mental, emotional, or physical, and Jesus just healed them, one and all. More and more people came, the momentum gathering. Besides those from Galilee, crowds came from the 10 towns across the lake, others up from Jerusalem and Judea, still others from across the Jordan. So all these multitudes of people are gathering because this man heals and teaches, and this light beams from his eyes, and it's amazing. When Jesus saw his ministry drawing huge crowds, he climbed a hillside. Those who were apprenticed to him, the committed, climbed with him. So now the really committed went higher with Jesus than the rest. See? The really committed were willing to climb up the mountain, but the people who thought he was pretty cool and whatever, they didn't want to go up the mountain, but they wanted to hear him. This is also yet another metaphor for what everyone does with the Lord. Okay. So, arriving at a quiet place, he sat down and taught his climbing companions, and this is what he said, and this is I love, this is the moment that I went from being a person who went to church and basically believed this, to truly going, that's God. That's God. Yeah. So this is what he said. You're blessed when you're at the end of your rope. With less of you, there is more of God and his rule. You're blessed when you feel you've lost what is most dear to you, because only then can you be embraced by the one who's truly most dear to you. You're blessed when you feel you've lost. Oh, I just said that. You're blessed when you're content with just who you are, no more, no less. That's the moment that you find yourselves proud owners of everything that can't be bought. You're blessed when you've worked up a good appetite for God. He's food and drink and the best meal you'll ever eat. You're blessed when you care. At the moment of being careful, you find yourselves cared for. You're blessed when you get your inside world, that is your mind and heart, put right. Then you can see God in the outside world. You're blessed when you can show people how to cooperate instead of compete or fight. That's when you discover who you really are and your place in God's family. You're blessed when your commitment to me, or commitment to God, provokes persecution. The persecution drives you even deeper into God's kingdom. And not only that, but count yourselves blessed every time people put you down or throw you out or speak lies about you to discredit me. What it means is that the truth is too close for comfort, and they are uncomfortable. You can be glad when that happens. Give a cheer even. For though they don't like it, I do, and all of heaven applauds. And know that you are in good company. My prophets and witnesses have always gotten into this kind of trouble. The words of Jesus, they cut like a knife. They cut like a sword. He calls them a sword. They cut right through all the BS every time. And then he just says, what can I say? It's God. It's God, people. Can't you see it? Can't you see it? Would any human talk that way? Would any human talk that way? And yet you understand what he's saying. He speaks in a spiritual way, but we still get what he's saying. He uses a lot of metaphors about seeds and planting and sowing and harvesting, but he's using them because these are the foundational building blocks of life that God put in this whole reality to teach us. I'm just going to let the words of Jesus sink in. Listen to it over again, man. Like, he's just the top. He's the tip top. He's the pinnacle. It doesn't get any higher. And he will bless you for following him. He will. I'm walking proof. I'm walking proof. Yeah, he will bless you, man. So that was the next video. I look forward to the next one. I guess I don't need to get up and turn the camera off. I should just go, bye!
I got to take some time to offer thanks for the way you got me out of that deplorable state. I really think your word is just so fine. I only want to know I'm doing what is truly right. And if I take my eyes off of your face, I run the risk of missing out on what you're trying